A year and a half ago, I decided to show my face on social media because I feel that Chinese-speaking Muslims are underrepresented and our voices are not heard. I've seen many content creators on social media talking about how East Asians have a natural advantage of blowing up on social media, especially in the recent years. I would say after COVID. And I believe one of the reasons why we are often underrepresented and not so well known to the outside world is because of the culture. We tend not to become so different than the others because we can easily get judged for trying to show off or brag about ourselves to show how different or special we are from others. Even though I don't have this kind of pressure from my family or my community, I would easily receive criticism on my social media from some of the Hui people. I'm not saying Hui Muslims, but Hui people, because a lot of times they're really so far from Islam that it's honestly hard to tell if they're even Muslims or not. And occasionally, even some Hui Muslims who don't know who I am would also criticize me for being arrogant and tell me to stay modest and silent when talking about Islam, because there's a bunch of scholars and the scholars are always more knowledgeable and only they have the right to speak out. So you can tell that there's this sort of perfectionism, a social conduct that discourages people from speaking out and go against the norm. And it's not only a culture that exists within the non-Muslim East Asian society, but even among the Muslims, which is something that I've witnessed since my childhood. There's always this strong emphasis on modesty, which is, by the way, a good virtue and something that I definitely appreciate about our culture. But when there's no balance to it, and when it's being overemphasized, that modesty slowly turns into absolute silence. And the obligation of Amr bil Ma'ruf wa Nahy anil Munkar, which is enjoining good and forbidding evil, becomes irrelevant. Because you need to be smart enough. You need to have enough reputation and social credibility to tell someone to do good or to stop their evil. And imagine having this problem. And on top of that, we Muslims are so small in terms of percentage. I guess it's not surprising to see how people get shocked when they find out that East Asian Muslims exist. And that's also a reason why it's more challenging for East Asian people to convert to Islam, because obviously this is something that is very strange to them. If they come from a more conservative family that's rooted in the culture, then obviously it's something that's hard to accept. But we can definitely see the tide changing and start seeing more youth accepting Islam without much pressure from the family. Especially in the last few years, we are witnessing more East Asian people converting to Islam on social media. However, I do need to honestly point out that what we see online is very different than the statistical reality, because obviously it's still rare to see East Asian Muslims, and the algorithm would push this type of content harder due to people's interest. And slowly, people subconsciously start having the illusion that East Asian Muslims are spreading so fast that they're somehow everywhere. The other factor that's amplifying this illusion even harder is the contents related to Chinese Hui Muslims in the recent years. It may be due to politics and propaganda that people start shifting from the US to China. People only start to realize that there are many local Muslims in China, somehow only realizing it now when Islam has been in China since the very beginning. This creates another illusion among people that East Asian Muslims are way more in number than we think. And I was easily able to notice this phenomenon because of what I have observed on my matchmaking platform. The demand and preference of having an East Asian Muslim spouse is way higher than the actual number of East Asian Muslims in reality. What people don't realize is that the Shahada videos we see online from East Asians, many of those who did their Shahada are people who were already getting married in the first place. And even if they weren't married the moment they said the Shahada, they would get married in the blink of an eye if they wish to get married, because they are in such high demand. So it's definitely not a very realistic idea to expect that it's easy to get matched with an East Asian Muslim, unless you do have some kind of connection, either in terms of location, in terms of culture or language. And because our culture and languages are so different, the average level of English in East Asian countries are honestly not so good in general. Whether it's Japan or Korea or China, Taiwan and Hong Kong are slightly better. Most of these places struggle with English. And if you don't speak the local language and they don't speak English, you're not gonna get to anywhere. Other than language, a lot of Hui Muslim families wouldn't even think of marrying someone from a different culture unless they have experienced foreign culture or they live in international cities like Guangzhou or Yiwu. So this is not to criticize those who are interested in East Asian Muslims or be pessimistic about the situation. It's just a reality check that I believe is needed to avoid romanticizing the growth that we are witnessing. Because if we are out of touch with reality, if we don't have an accurate picture of what the current situation is, then the solutions we come up with or the advices we give to fix the problems of our community will also be inaccurate. And I genuinely believe that more and more Muslims becoming interested in the development of Islam in East Asia and the increasing interactions with East Asians and even intermarriage between East Asian Muslims and the foreigners, these are great opportunities to help the dawah grow stronger and helping Islam to become more normalized in East Asian societies. In order to facilitate the dawah and make it happen, my advice first to my fellow East Asian Muslims is that we need more voices. We need more representation in the public and social media to help closing the gap between non-Muslims and Muslims. To make it easier for families to accept somebody being a Muslim in their household, to break the stereotype that Islam is something strange or unfamiliar in the society, to make people feel that it's normal to be a Muslim and Muslims should be proud and confident of their identity. And to my fellow non-East Asian Muslims, especially those who do have the interest to get married with East Asian Muslims, always have hope in Allah. But at the same time, do not close the doors of barakah that Allah has planned for you. Sometimes it's not that Allah didn't prepare the path of blessings for us, but it's we who are the ones who are shutting down the doors of opportunities. So we want to make sure that we understand the options in front of us so that we can make the best decisions with wisdom and not lose the opportunities in front of us. I hope that you have benefited from this video. Please leave a like, comment down your thoughts, and subscribe to my channel to support my mission. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.